Over the years, the FNaF fan game has been something that has been gotten down to an absolute science. Want a game that plays like the original quadrilogy while also adding new and interesting mechanics? You got several of those. Want a game where you can actually get up and explore the location that you're residing in? There's hundreds of those too. Want FNaF turned into frickin' Quake? Yeah, you got that. My point is, it never fails to amaze me how many people are out there that are able to build these games from the ground up and release them to the public for free practically every day. Thing is though, is that you don't really ever frequently see these types of games migrate from what is considered the official, unofficial hub of FNaF fan games. That being, of course, GameJolt. And I mean, why would they? It's where your game is most likely going to have the most success attached to it, being where everyone expects your game to go. But sometimes it isn't always like that. And there's even a program that can potentially blow what you could possibly achieve in GameJolt way out of the water. It's no surprise that the engine in question is obviously every single time I think about this, it still doesn't fail to boggle my mind. I was never really a Roblox person growing up, occasionally playing the game and remembering how repetitive almost everything felt in it. But man, I have no idea what happened with the tools this software provides you, but ever since that Roblox horror video I've made, I've had the itch to play more Roblox games that don't feel like they were built in the engine. While searching for more experiences like this, I stumbled upon one game called Forgotten Memories. I saw that this was obviously a FNaF themed game, but the history between Roblox and FNaF from what I remember is pretty lackluster. Most FNaF related games created on the site were mainly just for roleplay servers that would provide you a location that you could walk through. There never was really much gameplay to these games, and I thought that this would relatively be the same. But oh boy was I wrong. Not only was I wrong, but in regards to the presentation, this may be one of the best FNaF fan games I have ever played. This game blows some genuine projects that you find on GameJolt out of the water in some regards. With a ton of cinematic shots, along with dynamic cutscenes, voice acting, and a pretty clear narrative for you to follow. In a way, it's kind of like the exact opposite of the presentation in the original FNaF games. And in that sense, it's a pretty nice palate cleanser to see. But I feel like we need to venture a little further to sincerely label this as a solid FNaF fan game. This game has multiplayer, so I got some buddies with me to give this game a shot. Here's how it went. This is Forgotten Memories. We get brought into this starting area, and already I'm blown away at the level of detail here. We're stationed right outside the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza we will be deployed in for the rest of the game, with a bonfire being set up in the parking lot and a gas station across the street. You can buy upgrades and gear and stuff here, but I personally think things like a sword is super immersion breaking, so I didn't really mess with any of this stuff. The environment of this starting area is just so fun to look through though. Like behind this tunnel, I expected there to be just some invisible wall that would show up preventing me to go any further, but to my surprise, there's actually a whole museum hidden away behind this tunnel, and it explains every character, item, and their given purpose. This is a really cool secret to throw in here, and it really subverted my expectations, and we haven't even started playing the actual game. Now though, we gather up to 4 people, and we start our night shift at the Forgotten Freddy's location. But first...
Man, it took some time, but I finally did it. I wasp-proofed my house so they won't come back and burn it down again. Finally. Now, I can maybe relax. Let's open up the TV menu to see— Oh my god!
We have come back to your house.
No! How can it be? I spent 10 months wasp-proofing this place!
Don't worry, our days of arson are over. We're leaving that to the Hornets now. Instead, I bring good news to you.
Good news? Whatever shall that be?
We offer you a way to protect yourself from the Hornets, with the power of encrypting your data with Atlas VPN.
Atlas VPN is the best and most affordable VPN service on the market, with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you feel otherwise. The service provides you with many tools, allowing you to set your region anywhere in the world, with several additions such as trackless internet searching, blocking of ads and malware, and it's also available on all devices. And right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means that you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day back guarantee. Time is running out, so get your deal by clicking the link in the video description below. The service also extends beyond keeping you safe. Atlas VPN also allows you to access region-locked content from all around the globe. Want to watch that final season of Better Call Saul, but it's not available in your country yet? Atlas VPN has got you covered. Its user-friendly interface will allow you to set everything up swiftly and easily too. So once again, you can pick up your 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day back guarantee. So get your deal by clicking the link I provide in the description below. Once again, thank you to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video.
Thank you for that wonderful proposition. I'll be sure to use that in my endeavors, now.
You are welcome. Now I must go.
Wow, that was sure nice of him. Now, let's do all that before...
Why is her hair clipping through her hat, and why is this something they were like fine with and just like released the game with?
Yeah, every other character is like
These
fine.
are pre-made characters you have to. These are pre-made characters you have to play as, and one of them still has a fucking clipping issue. It's like not even minor, it's major.
This game is very unique in its presentation. As you heard there, this game swaps out your regular Roblox avatar for a pre-made character to fit better within the story. I honestly really like this feature, but not everyone shared the same stance, as you can see. The reason this was most likely done was to make the cutscenes of this game make more sense, and it certainly does fill that purpose. Although the voice acting could definitely use a little bit of work, the fact that this is even possible in this engine is just what still befuddles me. So for now, I can excuse how rough it is around the edges. If there's one thing I'll give this game, it's that it has a fairly understandable story. You play as a group of 4 late epic Zoomers who find themselves getting a job of watching over an old Freddy's establishment that is in the works of being renovated into a place called Tony's Tacos. You are guided by a phone guy every night who explains each animatronic's purpose and their mechanic, and that's about it. Yes, it's certainly lacking from what we may have been accustomed to, but I personally don't think every FNaF themed game needs some bombastic lore and world building. Sometimes a simple, digestible plot is all you need to forward your gameplay. But speaking of which... Alright, just don't peek out and we should be fine.
I went around.
Don't peek out. Gulp. Okay.
Yeah, it was really tempting to just run out.
It's really tempting. Ah! Close that shit.
The gameplay of this game is ironically what started to lose me. And that's pretty sad to say, judging that I've only been singing its praises up until this point. The gameplay's like if you were to combine Those Nights at Rachel's with the Joy of Creation, to the point where the office you're residing in is a 1-to-1 copy of the Rachel's office with the exact same mechanics. Behind you is a curtain where the puppet's music box is, and you periodically need to close this curtain to make sure she doesn't get out. Just like in Those Nights at Rachel's. The displays on the desk and the doors are even in the exact same position, but I can still excuse this. It's okay to take inspiration from other existing media as long as you add onto it in interesting ways. And the whole gimmick of this game is, of course, it's free roam. But how do they utilize the free roam? Not well. The game has you managing 2 resources at once, your power and your ventilation. Sounds pretty understandable, but the way you go to turn these things back on is where it starts to kind of fall apart. Both resources are located on 2 completely different sides of the pizzeria. One is in parts and service, and the other is in the arcade. For the first few nights, this really isn't that much of an issue. Freddy is the only one active on night 1, so restoring the power on that night is no issue. Issues start coming in, though, when you try to go to reset the ventilation. So you know how I said this game works like the Joy of Creation? That mainly comes down to how the characters react to you. Freddy is just your average chaser type enemy, running at you when spotted and leaving once you get away. This would be fine if it weren't for one thing. This game does not need a sprint meter, and it's an absolute detriment to the quality of the game as a whole. I get that it's supposed to put you on edge when you get into a chase, but it runs out so quickly that if you were to get spotted and there's no hiding spot near you, you basically can't do anything and you'll just get caught regardless. The game somewhat makes up for this in the fact that you at least have 3 lives to your disposal, but you're most likely going to drain all those whenever you try to go reset the ventilation, and it only gets worse as the nights progress. The second animatronic to wake up is Bonnie, who roams right next to the parts and service room. Bonnie is practically a non-threat when it comes to the rest of the game, being pretty easy to run past to get the parts and service and only very rarely coming to the door. But night 3 is where things start to get absolutely ridiculous with the inclusion of Foxy. So like I said, all the characters work about the exact same as they do in the Joy of Creation. So that means that Foxy slows down if you are to shine a light into his face. What makes Foxy an absolute pain to deal with is the fact that once he's out, he's practically be out for the rest of the night. Foxy spawns in the exact same area where Freddy roams, which makes getting to ventilation borderline impossible on harder nights, let alone getting Foxy back to his cove. We actually beat the 20 mode custom night challenge first try by just completely ignoring ventilation and timing our deaths until the 6 a.m. alarm rang.
This game is one of those games that's fun for the first half, and then you get the strat and you're like, okay.
Man, I'm crazy. They had to put me in the squid ward.
Chica spawns in on the 4th night and is by far the easiest animatronic to deal with out of the 5 we've covered so far. She walks around parts and surface, and she can only move when you're not looking at her. She is also insanely slow, making getting caught by her particularly a non-issue, even on harder difficulties. But on the off chance you do get caught by her, and there's no one to back up your generators, your power will be lost all throughout the building. When power is lost, time freezes, making continuing through the night impossible until you power everything back on. This would usually be fine if it weren't for one thing. Golden Freddy can spawn when the power is out in the building for too long, and he's special in the fact that he can kill you just by looking at you. His jump scare also lasts a really long time, but on the other side of things, if you were to run out of oxygen, it doesn't do the same thing. But you will die incredibly quickly if you do, to the point where if it's out, once you respawn, you can't get back there in time to turn it back on. Your ventilation malfunctioning usually doesn't happen until way later into the night, so if you're lucky enough, you may not even have to worry about it at all. And then finally, on night 5, you complete the game with an incredibly lackluster ending.
Why is the one R lit up? That really takes away from the moment.
R.
R.
It's that or...
I've looked into it, and no, there's no secret endings you can get or anything. This is just how the game ends, which is pretty disappointing, honestly. When I learned this news, I didn't even attempt the nightmare difficulties that this game allows you to do, because there's not really much of an incentive to do them. Strangely enough, there's not really any secrets or Easter eggs in this game at all. I'm not even saying those are something required to include, but I find the absence of anything other than the straightforward gameplay to be a little bit of wasted potential, especially with how beautiful this environment is. This game nails the presentation so well, but it feels like everything else was just an oversight. But with all of that being said, what are my final thoughts on this game? Does it deserve to be gassed up as the best FNaF fan game on Roblox, or is it overrated? I honestly can't give a concrete answer to that. I want to say that it's the best because of how mesmerizing the presentation is, rivaling and even surpassing Doors in its fidelity and looks. But at the same time, its gameplay is unoriginal and flat at best, and frustrating and boring at worst. It wears its inspirations on its sleeves and doesn't really do much to innovate with them. I would have found this excusable if they were to actually have executed these features just as, if not better than their source material, but here it's done a lot worse because of arbitrary inclusions like a stamina meter that runs out way too fast. This game has a lot going for it, I think, but it feels like it's due for a content update that fixes up some of these issues I highlighted here. One thing that I would like to see is please make going outside your office feel dangerous and scary, but not artificially difficult. I think the AI here is already pretty great, so simply allowing chases to just last longer than 5 seconds would be nice. Maybe instead of having a sprint meter, just simply make the animatronics slightly faster than the player, incentivizing them to run across rows of tables and into other rooms to lose the animatronic chasing them. I think the only one who doesn't need to be tweaked in this regard is Foxy, as he is already faster than the player if you're not shining a light on him. I like to see this game get a little better as time goes on. The foundation is very clearly already there, and I think the little workarounds that can be made in the coming future could only go to perfecting this game as one of the most well-rounded and complete fan games you could play, especially with it being multiplayer, which is always an incredibly rare sight to see. In conclusion, the AI is better than Rainbow Friends, so 10 out of 10 game. We sure did forget
Similar level.
We sure did forget the memory.
Yeah, wait, what was this game about again? Sorry, I forgot it. Lol.
I've been Dags, and until next time, see ya.